Do you feel this? Do you feel that dark abyss?
In the Pirates of the Caribbean universe, death is a driving force behind the franchise. Characters find themselves faced with death, running away from the inescapable nature of death, experience a rebirth, and even an entire way of life becoming lost history. Today, I'll be breaking down the theme of death in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. Obviously, this is much more of a broad topic than what I normally cover, more focused on recurring themes in the franchise rather than more material elements of the world, such as gods or monsters. However, the creatives behind this franchise actually managed to incorporate themes of death into the world building as well. Starting back in 1967 at Disneyland, the Pirates of the Caribbean ride immerses riders in a world haunted by the remnants of a long-forgotten age, where death lingers as a pervasive theme. One of the earliest scenes, where skeletons of pirates sit frozen in time among treasures, to the ominous caverns echoing with the ghostly voices of the dead. The ride presents a pirate world long past its prime. The skeletal remains of the once-living pirates serve as literal reminders of the frontier they ruled, a lawless, adventurous era now reduced to myths, legends, and the eerie echoes of what remains. The cold and lifeless treasure they sought after, long outliving their greedy mortal souls. 5 ominous words set the stage for everything this franchise stands for.
Dead men tell no tale.
The beautiful irony of a ghostly voice saying that the stories of the deceased are lost. Of course, this was only the first piece of Pirates of the Caribbean media, with a grander franchise in the works by the early 2000s. The Curse of the Aztec Gold is central to the events of the Curse of the Black Pearl, where the crew of the Black Pearl were cursed to live as undead, experiencing neither life nor death. After stealing 882 pieces of cursed Aztec gold from Isla de Muerta, Captain Barbossa and his crew were condemned to live as immortal, skeletal beings. Although they cannot die, they also couldn't feel any pleasure, pain, or human emotion, leaving them in a constant state of torment. The curse could only be lifted once the pieces of gold were returned to the chests and a blood debt repaid. In the climactic battle at Isla de Muerta, Barbossa was shot by Jack Sparrow just as Will Turner returned the last coin and offered his blood to the chest. The curse was lifted, and Barbossa, no longer immortal, died from the gunshot wound. The Curse of the Aztec Gold served as a metaphor for greed and its consequences, stripping the crew of their humanity. Barbossa's death was significant because it came at the moment he regained his mortality, offering a poetic end to his quest for freedom from the curse. Much like the endless bloodshed of Cortez, Barbossa's greed led him down a path of torment and suffering. Having learned the literal chronology of the treasure's history, but not the lessons that gave the history its value. However, Barbossa's death was not permanent, as he was later resurrected by Tia Dalma. Jack Sparrow's encounter with Davy Jones and the Kraken in Dead Man's Chest led to one of the most memorable deaths in the series, though it was temporary. In an effort to settle a debt he owed to Davy Jones, Jack attempted to avoid his fate by extorting Jones using his heart, located in the Dead Man's Chest. However, his plan unraveled when the monstrous Kraken was sent to kill him. In a moment of selflessness, Jack returned to the Black Pearl to help his crew escape the Kraken, but Elizabeth cuffed Jack to the mast. The Kraken dragged Jack and the Black Pearl to the depths of the ocean. Jack's death signals a shift in the power dynamics of the series, leading Will, Elizabeth, and the others to set off on a dangerous journey to the ends of the earth to rescue him from Davy Jones's locker, having to come into their own as fearsome pirates without their mentor. His sacrifice highlighted the fine line that Jack treads between self-interest and loyalty to his crew. Jack had spent his time so afraid of death and eternal punishment in Davy Jones's locker that he was willing to let others take his place, not recognizing the irony of turning on his own crew after his experiences with Barbossa. And in a brief moment of clarity, Jack understood that he should be there for the few people who ever stood by his side. In the next film, Jack's entire worldview had been shifted by his experiences in the locker.
Death has a curious way of reshuffling one's priorities.
With his ultimate goal to not just survive, but to try and live forever. Of course, this meant that Jack had to find himself aboard the Flying Dutchman to kill Davy Jones himself, something he was on the fence about. Jones, bound to the Flying Dutchman and cursed to ferry souls to the afterlife, was manipulated by Lord Cutler Beckett, who controlled his heart. In the climactic battle, Jones faced off against Jack Sparrow and Will Turner aboard the Flying Dutchman, but Jones managed to stab Will when Jack thought he had the upper hand by threatening to stab Jones's heart. Will, mortally wounded, and with the help of Jack, managed to stab Jones's heart, and in doing so, became the next captain of the Flying Dutchman. Jones fell into the ocean, the watery grave he once ruled with terror. Jones's death marked the end of his tyrannical reign as the captain of the Flying Dutchman, a ship once seen as a horrifying symbol of death, now reclaimed as a sacred vessel for bringing peace to the dead, ferrying lost souls to the afterlife. It was Will's destiny to become the Dutchman captain, as it was Elizabeth's destiny to lead the pirates to victory.
You're the one that hopes to get married now. But your fate is to be married to this ship.
I choose my own fate.
Then it wouldn't be fate, would it?
Will's fate is both a death and a rebirth. He gains immortality, but at the cost of his freedom and connection to the world of the living. His transformation into the captain of the Flying Dutchman creates a bittersweet conclusion to his story, where he is separated from Elizabeth, only able to visit her and their child once every 10 years. Will's death ties to the broader themes of duty, sacrifice, and the cost of immortality that run through the series. Davy Jones's story served as a cautionary tale about the dangers of dwelling on the past and refusing to move on. His inability to let go of his heartbreak over Calypso not only destroyed him emotionally, but also physically twisted him into a grotesque monster, forever bound to the sea. This theme of being trapped in the past mirrors Jack Sparrow's own journey, as he tried to prolong the age of piracy, despite the fact that the world around him was changing. Jack, like Jones, had to confront the harsh reality that something he held dear to his heart was ending.
The world used to be a bigger place.
The world's still the same. It's just less in it.
A world that once felt vast, now constrained by the rise of empires and law. In the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, death was often a transitional moment that marked a significant character development or shifts in power. Each notable death was signified not only by the end of a life, but a change in the world order. Whether it was Barbossa's initial demise, the death of Weatherby Swan, driving Elizabeth to lead the Brethren to war, or the deaths of key antagonists like Cutler Beckett or Davy Jones. The end of the golden age of piracy itself could be seen as a death, a loss of freedom and adventure as the world modernized, forcing pirates to confront their own mortality as their way of life faded into legend. The repeated motifs of death, curses, and immortality reflect the fading of the pirate era itself. The world of pirates is a world on the edge of extinction, where the old ways of freedom, adventure, and rebellion against authority are being stamped out by imperial powers and corporate interests. In this sense, death is not just a physical end for the characters, but also a metaphor for death of the pirate frontier. The saga presents a world that, by its end, feels like a long-forgotten age, a lost frontier. Just as the old pirates are dying, so too is the way of life. The bittersweet ending resonates through the final moments of the films. Elizabeth and Will Turner, separated by Will's duty as captain of the Flying Dutchman, represent the love that endures, but at a great cost. Their reunion every 10 years is a reminder that even in this fantastical world of curses and magic, time marches on, and the age of pirates just doesn't last. Jack Sparrow's final scene in At World's End shows him setting off again for adventure, but the grand age of piracy is over, and he is left chasing dreams and mirages, an echo of the freedom that once defined his life. His character, forever elusive and forever escaping death, represents the enduring spirit of piracy and also its gradual disappearance into legend. And one thing that comes to my mind is how this all applies to real life. You can't dwell in the past. You can't bring it back. The only path left is forward. Many people have been saying they want another Pirates of the Caribbean film, with Johnny Depp back as Jack Sparrow. But I think this misses the point the original trilogy tried to present. We should move on. The stories of the past can be amazing or terrible. There's no escaping the fact that you have to push forward and accept fate on some level. You have to carve your own path, and with the constraints of the inevitable, you can still create something amazing. I'd like to present a bold idea. What if we don't get another Pirates of the Caribbean movie? What if we take the lessons learned from the ups and downs of the franchise and build something new from it? What if we told an original story? There's no harm in occasionally revisiting older stories every now and then, but to try to cling to the past is a path to self-destruction. It seems that everything in this franchise seems to disprove the initial statement. Dead men do tell tales. Tales of letting go, being able to accept the future, moving on. As our world continues to enter uncertain times, I think we should all take to heart the lessons this franchise teaches. While things might look terrifying in the future, and the past might seem alluring or even idyllic, always move forward, and never abandon an adventurous spirit. That's it for today's video. If you liked it, give it a like and hit the subscribe button. Comment down below and share your thoughts on this topic. Do you think the writers intended for the story to be about letting go and moving on? I'll leave that to you. Join my Patreon page if you want early access to my videos, and join my Discord server. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.